All right. I have talked about the Stanley Cup final, the draft, free agency, but now it's time to talk about the stars of tomorrow. What do I mean by that? It's time to break down development camp the next few episodes. I need to show the young guys some love. Lots to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils writer of Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Let's talk about the New Jersey Devils development camp from last week. I know I'm a little late to it, but as you guys know, I had the chance to cover the NHL draft from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I've been saying heavily on this show that things were just moving full speed and a lot of stuff was piling on one another because we had the conclusion of the Stanley Cup final, then the NHL draft, free agency also opened up. And on top of that, the Devils decided to host their development camp starting July 1st for media to attend. And I had to make a decision. Did I want to cover development camp or the draft? And it was a no-brainer for me. I wanted to go to Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, to witness the NHL draft take place from inside the Vegas Sphere. I really did want to cover development camp, but unfortunately, just based on how the scheduling worked itself out, there was just no way that I could make my way to New Jersey from Las Vegas. I was going to tire myself out. And remember, like I said, free agency happened within that time span. I had to make myself available for some of these players' press conferences. It was just a wild 2 weeks if you were covering the Devils or any other team for that matter, because it seemed like scheduling was also another issue for some of the other teams in the league. But digressing a little bit, now that everything has slowed down, I want to talk about development camp because you get the chance to see some undiscovered talent or talent that's already been drafted or some players that maybe are looking for some sort of redemption or maybe just players that are just trying to get their foot into the NHL door. A lot of people don't really have strong opinions on development camp, and quite honestly, I'm no exception. But I still want to talk about some of these prospects because some of them might be a gem, some of them might be diamonds in the rough, or some of them might be highly touted, including Anton Salayev, who made his appearance at development camp. And if you're wondering why Lenny Haminaho did not participate in development camp this year, it's because he was required to do his military service. In today's episode, I'm going to do something similar to what I did last year when I was covering development camp from the RWJ Barnabas Health Hockey House. I will give some background information on a specific prospect, and then I'm going to play their media availability. I apologize that it's not going to be as authentic as last year because, as you guys know, I normally just film my own video with my own microphone, ask my own questions, but just based on how everything panned out, I got to make do with what I got. And luckily, I have some great people over in the New Jersey Devils organization who will play those sound bites throughout the course of the episode. All right, first up, Ethan Edwards, a left-handed defenseman from the University of Michigan. He was drafted in the 4th round, 120th overall in 2020. As you guys know, I love my Michigan Wolverines. Maybe I'm just a little biased because both my parents attended that university, but the Wolverines have put together themselves a pretty damn good hockey team. All right, Ethan Edwards did not participate in last year's development camp due to injury. He was in attendance, but he didn't participate in any activities. But here's the background information on Mr. Ethan Edwards. It's Edwards' skating and high activity rate that informs so much of his value. He's so aggressive carrying the puck up in transition, and he tirelessly works to support the puck in the offensive zone. The same is true of the way that Edwards defends. Whether it's in the neutral zone or defensive zone, he closes in on puck carriers and plays with decisiveness, courtesy of Elite Prospects 2020 NHL Draft Guide. This past season for the Wolverines, he was one of their alternate captains. As we all know, the Wolverines saw themselves in the Frozen Four once again. Edwards appeared in 21 games. He had 3 goals, 7 assists, for a grand total of 10 points. As opposed to his teammate Seamus Casey, it seems like Edwards focuses more on defense and not so much offense. But that's not a bad thing, because sometimes you need some defensive-minded defensemen in order to have a successful hockey team. Here's Edwards' media availability. Check it out.
Ethan, University of Michigan last year, you were able to come back in January. What did you see out of that second half of the college season with your game and your development?
Yeah, just coming back from injury was tough, but happy I got through that, and then going into the playoffs really found my game, found my stride, and luckily we got to make a push at the end of the season, so we came together as a team and got to the Frozen Four, so kind of maximized the amount of games I could play, which was really nice.
When you say you found your game, found your stride, what specifically did you find?
I think just not playing a game for close to 9 months was tough. You kind of lose a little bit of your habits, a little bit just pieces to your game. So I think piecing everything back together was the key thing for me throughout the first 5-6 weeks of my return.
When you've talked to the Devils in the past at development camp last year, even throughout the season, what were the major areas they wanted you to improve, and what were the major areas they were impressed with?
I think the main areas to improve is just continue to work on my defensive game, be okay with nothing happening out there, shut down their top players. That's kind of the priority for me. My two-way game comes naturally, so jumping up in the play is kind of second nature to me. So I got to sometimes tone it back, but just pick my spots. And then what they like is I move my feet well, so just continue to skate, use my feet to my advantage, and then just compete, just work all over the ice.
Ethan, what was it like sitting out that long because of your injury, and where did you sort of see maybe the mental side of your game grow? Because I figure that's probably what you're working on most at that point.
Yeah, so with the shoulder, you feel almost healthy pretty early on, so you feel like you can get on the ice before you actually can. The doctors clear you. So I think that's the hardest part, is just accepting that you're not going to be out there. You can't help your team, and we had ups and downs throughout the first half of the season as a team, so just seeing that from the stands was so tough and not being able to do anything. But I'm almost glad I went through it. I think it's a part of hockey. Injuries are definitely a part of the sport, so hopefully there's not a next time, but if it was to ever happen again, then I think I'd be mentally prepared.
What did you learn about yourself in that process?
I think just, I don't know, consistency is huge with rehab. Learning about myself, I don't know.
On the mental side of the game, right?
I don't know. I feel like, honestly, I took it pretty well. I had a little bit of a rough stretch, midway through when I thought I could be skating, like I mentioned.
Right.
But mentally, I feel like I was pretty confident in my return when I got back, and then throughout the process, just, I don't know, sticking with it.
Down the stretch in Michigan, there were some guys out. You made a pretty significant impact. What did that do to your confidence?
I think it was just proving to myself that making a return was so special, and to make an impact at the end of the season like I did, and the way that my game developed by the end of the season was just, like you said, built my confidence, and then going into the next season, I hope to build on that even further.
Going into next season, a lot of turnover in Michigan. Have you discussed your role with the coaches at all, and what it's going to be next year?
Just continue to prove myself. I know my role. I know I'm going to put some more minutes up next season, so I think I'm super excited for that and ready for the opportunity.
What did you see out of Casey's growth at Michigan this year?
I mean, unbelievable. His instincts, his skills are, honestly, I've never seen him before. So the stuff he can do out there individually, and then the way he finds teammates is so impressive. I'm so excited for him. See what he can do next year.
You've been to multiple development camps here. You've seen this roster change. What are you seeing out this year's group and the intensity out there in the second on-ice practice?
Intensity is very high. It's very impressive. A lot of big guys out there, especially in the D group. So I think that'll be really cool for next year to see. I guess nobody's getting to your net, and no one's getting to your goalie. So it'll be cool to see. And then it's a great group off the ice as well. We're really connecting off the ice, and even the Europeans and the Americans, maybe a little bit of a language barrier, but we're getting through that and definitely bonding.
We still got a few more prospects to break down, but before we continue, let me tell you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Okay, next prospect on the docket is Josh Filman, the left winger who is 20 years of age, stands 6'3", from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. He'll sprint into the lane, draw a defender, then hit the brakes, creating a passing lane for his teammates and space for his shot. Where most players plant themselves in front of the net, he sneaks away from defenders to the far post. Those off-puck instincts complement a projectable NHL shot, especially off the pass. Filman doesn't dust off the puck, using the momentum of the pass to transfer his weight for the shot. Once again, courtesy of Elite Prospects 2022 NHL Draft Guide. Filman was selected in the 6th round in 2022. Like I said, he is signed by the Devils. Going back a couple seasons, 2022, 2023, Filman appeared in 4 games for the Comets, and he only registered 1 goal. This past season with the Swift Current Broncos of the WHL, he appeared in 64 games, had 27 goals, 40 assists for a grand total of 67 points. And he averaged a point per game during the playoffs, appeared in 9 playoff matchups, and he recorded 9 points, 7 goals, 2 assists. And it seems like a lot of people have good things to say about Filman and his potential. I've been seeing it on social media. I've been seeing on the YouTube comment section. And I think there were a few articles centered around him last year during development camp. Filman has a lot of potential based on his offense, similar to what Elite Prospects said about him a couple years ago. Good passer and knows how to open up a lane for not only himself, but teammates. Here's what Filman had to say during his media availability. Check it out.
Let's go over last season. What were the biggest developments you saw in your own game, and where do you just feel like you can keep taking those next steps?
I would say I think I took strides just in becoming a little more complete. Had a little more responsibility this year, being a 200-foot player, killing plays in the D zone, penalty killing. So I think, it was a good year for me to just kind of start fresh and rebuild some of the baseline stuff that's going to help me get to pro and those defensive habits. And then towards the end of the year, I think I made big strides as well, just figuring out how to apply my offensive skill set into that kind of scheme. And I think I can still take strides within my skating and just lower body strength. I think it's all going to come together, and I think just that's going to be something I need to continue working on to make the jump to pro.
Talking about that jump to pro, what's kind of your off-season plans, and what are you expecting for next year? Where do you think you'll be?
In terms of the plans, just getting stronger and faster. I got a pretty good group I'm training with right now, pro guys back home in Winnipeg. So make sure that I keep pushing myself and learning from those guys, talking to guys who have already made the jump. And then in terms of where I think I'm going to be, obviously I have no clue. The goal is just to come into camp and try and put on the best performance I can. There's a new coaching staff here in New Jersey, and talking with the development staff, my goal is just to come in before the team goes to Prague and try and make the best impression that I can to either earn a spot or take some feedback and go down to Utica and try and continue to develop there.
Who are some of the pros that you work out with in Winnipeg?
Seth Jarvis in Carolina is a young guy who just kind of made the jump. Obviously, he didn't play in the American League. He went straight to the NHL. But a guy who had a different path would be like Cody Glass. He was a really high draft pick, and it kind of took him a little bit more time to figure it out and make that transition to the NHL. So 2 kind of different examples, but really good role models. That's just 2 of them. I don't know if you want me to list off all of them right now, but there's plenty. And even just the staff that I'm working with hasn't been where I've been training the whole time, right, throughout their careers. So they've seen a lot of different stuff, even in different sports. So it's just important to be an active listener, I think, and to try and take as many lessons as you can.
What did the NHL preseason last year teach you?
Honestly, just how big and strong and fast everybody is. You can't really put into words the difference it is when you're making a jump, say from junior to that. But once you're there, it's kind of like you have a little bit of a feeling of how fast and strong those guys are. And then it becomes more mental than physical almost, I think, where you just got to think the game at that speed, and you got to be able to see plays before they happen because you don't have as much time. You got to be proactive, not reactive.
Before we move over to the next prospect, I want to tell you guys about FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But with FanDuel, it lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, dream up any bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Visit FanDuel.com to look at the odds. And please remember to always gamble responsibly. All right. Last prospect on the docket for today's episode. And don't worry, there's more in store in terms of covering development camp. Let's talk about Topias Vilen. He is a left-handed defenseman, standing 6'1". He was drafted in the 5th round in 2021. He is signed by the Devils. Here's what the scouting report says on Vilen. He earned his full time with the Pelicans with a reliable presence in his own zone, leveraging sound off the puck reads, stopping power, and unrelenting motor to keep the opposition at bay. Now, that scouting report is from a few years ago. Here's what he did just this past season. First with the Utica Comets. He appeared in 54 games. He had 2 goals, 27 assists for a grand total of 29 points. He also had a stint with the Adirondack Thunder. He appeared in 6 games. He had 3 goals, 7 assists for a grand total of 10 points. Here's what Vilen had to say during his media availability. Check it out.
You just played your first full year with the Utica Comets. What was the experience like playing in the A? What's the biggest things you learned about that level of professional hockey?
I mean, it was a lot different than I'm used to back in Finland, but I like it. It's more physical, but I like it.
Where do you find that you had the best developments in your game during that season?
I think on my defensive side, getting more toughness and that kind of things in my game.
What else do they want to see from you, maybe this off season, to work on heading into next year?
More strength. That was gaining weight. That's it, basically.
Yeah. And just looking at that Utica Comets team, having some of the guys here, what are you seeing out of the competition level at development camp so far?
I mean, there are a lot of good guys here, a lot of good players, so it's a good competition every day here.
Your first year in Utica, who was someone in the locker room that you really hung out with a lot and they took under your wing?
I mean, Hataka, that was obviously other Finnish person, but there was a lot of guys like Dylan, who's right now here, and there were a lot of good guys there, good group.
For you, what's the biggest difference between playing in Finland compared to the AHL?
It's a lot more physical. I think that's the biggest thing, and the situations comes a lot faster. The rink is smaller, so everything comes fast.
Being here today or this week, what is it that you're working on for yourself in your game that you came in thinking, this is what I want to improve on the most?
I would say maybe on my defensive side of the game, box outs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know you mentioned Hataka. What have you seen out of him that's allowed him to attain success so quickly?
What can I say? I mean, there's a lot of good things on his game, like obviously his skating and defensive ability. That's one thing I'm looking.
Listen, I know I'm a few days late and a few dollars short, but I still want to give some of these prospects some love. We're definitely going to break down more prospects in the near future, especially since things are winding down for the Devils. And I just wanted to highlight the possible future stars of tomorrow. I'm overstepping it a little bit, but like I said, I just wanted to give the prospects some love during their recent development camp. Let me know, was there a prospect you had your eye on during development camp, and do you want me to break down his game in a future episode? Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TrainMat4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for this episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Once again, more development camp content coming out within the next few days.